Hey, 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 everybody, it's Thursday, and you know what that means? That's right, it's episode 73 of the Real Deal Pod with Allister and Geoff, the hottest podcast in real estate and mortgage right now. That's right, I am Allister Carrington, your trusted realtor, alongside my main man, our mortgage guru and lender to the stars, Geoff Lee.
Wow,
Geoff, my
I
man.
feel that there should be like some dry ice smoke coming up.
Right? Just smoke and stuff coming up, fireworks and everything. That's right. And fire, because we're hot, baby. We're hot. Geoff, my man, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. The week has been short because of Thanksgiving.
How was your
And
Thanksgiving?
excited to go and see the Mariners and Blue Jays in Seattle tomorrow for I guess it
Game
was
four.
four.
Game four. Blue
Game
Jays are
five.
down.
Game five. They play tonight.
Are they?
I think
Oh, they're
play
playing tonight. Okay, yeah, because they're down 2-1 right now. They're down 2 games to 1. They made a comeback. I do know that. My father-in-law, he loves the Jays. So they got beat up at home in Toronto the first 2 games, but I know what they laid a shellacking. I think it was 13-5. They beat them last game or something like that. I don't know. I don't follow baseball that much.
Nor do I. I think number one, I thought this was actually the World Series, so this is how much I'm following baseball. So yeah, I'll go to that. But I realize now it's the finals, and but you know what? Still, I think this is a bucket list thing. Like, how often are you going to be able to see an American League final? Pretty much on your neighborhood side and just kind of experience that energy, and it'll be actually two great sporting events that I've gone to this year. Went to a a soccer or a football game in Rome,
Okay.
66,000 people in that one. And yeah, now we're gonna hit this event. So yeah, I'm excited.
That's
I'm excited.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I used to be like when I was a kid, of course, I played baseball when I was younger, and I used to actually really enjoy baseball. My favorite team was, and I guess if I still had to say, was the Minnesota Twins.
Mm.
So yeah, so I've been to a few games, and then in past life when we go to conferences and stuff like that, we'd go out to like because people in the States, of course, love their baseball still. So we'd go to games. I've been to a Phillies game. Let me tell you, man, the Phillies crowd is crazy. And I've been to a Cincinnati Reds game, and that one was super fun. Like that was actually super fun. Great food they have at games. That's one thing I will say at baseball games. The eats are fantastic. They do it right. They do it right. But they don't do it like football does. Football with the tailgating. Oh man, that's where the food is the best. Eating out in the parking lot with the fans out there.
How does that work? I've never been to a tailgate. Like, did you just like, are they charging you for food, or are you
Nope.
just kind of going in and
You go in and you're walking and people are shoving food in your hands. It's an amazing time. It's an amazing, amazing time, especially. Well, I don't know what it's like right now in the current environment that we're in, but I know I know like when I went to a Buffalo Bills game because the Buffalo Bills is my favorite football team, right? So when I was in Buffalo, when I went to a game out there, and I told people I was Canadian, they were calling me over. They're like, "Oh, are you from Toronto? You guys are our cousins." And I was like, "No, I'm from Winnipeg, probably the one part of Canada that you
that,
don't know about."
that's because Doug Flutie was there. That's why. And yeah,
Actually, Doug Flutie was
football.
gone, buddy. I love Doug Flutie, man. Flutie Flakes, baby. Flutie Flakes. That's what they would all say in Buffalo. We love Flutie Flakes.
Yeah, he was
But
a great ball player for somebody
yeah,
his size too. Is such a from what I understood, he was such a small man in
yeah, he
comparison
was a short dude.
to NFL and CFL quarterbacks, right? So.
Yeah, man. I think it was what 5'9" or something like that. Yeah, he's a short player, but an amazing player and an amazing guy. Amazing guy. I know he was great for the Toronto community and he was great for the Buffalo community. So that's what I've always said. More important is you can be a great football player, but what type of human are you? And if you're a
Yeah.
better human than you are a football player, you're aces in my book. So
Yeah.
that's awesome, Geoff. Well, I hope you have a great time out there. I know it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. Make sure you take a lot of pictures, man. And if you catch a ball, don't go trying to be a hero and catch it by the railing, man. People fall over those things trying to catch balls and stuff like that.
Well,
That's mental,
I
man.
know that if I do get an opportunity to get a ball, I'm not gonna number one take it from a kid because
Thank you, Jeff.
then I'm
Don't
gonna be
end up on
viral. It's
social
gonna go
media,
viral on me.
right?
And if I get a ball, I might even just give it to a kid.
That a boy, Jeff. That a boy. That's the way to do it because that will go viral too in the good sense.
Yeah,
In the
well,
good sense.
we'll see. We'll
There
see.
you go. There you go, my man. Oh, well, yeah, well, it's that I got nothing to compare to that. Man, I got nothing. I got a listing appointment with an upcoming potential listing on Saturday, but and that's not as much fun as going to a Jays game or or
Oh
in,
yeah,
in Seattle.
Thanksgiving. We had a great Thanksgiving Monday, so
We did. We did. My Thanksgiving was quiet though because we had a little bit of a dinner and then because we do usually do it on Sunday like most people do. But the wife and daughter went to the
oh
Shawn Mendes concert. I did not go because I thankfully got it right this time. I forever because I don't listen to him, and I have a dislike for, if you remember Sean Desmond back in the day. Do you remember Sean Desmond back in the day, Jeff?
yeah,
Horrible wannabe Canadian rapper slash R&B artist, just
yeah,
terrible, like just
yeah,
terrible. So for some reason, I've always gotten those two mixed up.
yeah.
And so I've always asked my daughter, like, how do you like this guy? Like, what is he? He's like my age and still trying to be cool. What the hell? I finally learned that I mixed the two up. So, anyways, the wife and daughter went out to the Shawn Mendes concert on Sunday. They had a really great time, and I had a great time with the house to myself.
Yeah, because sometimes
Yeah.
that's the best time.
That's what I say. So yeah, so it, again, short week has been good, and they had a good time at the Mendez concert. So yeah, my weekend will be not as busy as yours has been. I mean, or is going to be. I still say, man, I'm going to live vicariously through you. And if you catch two baseballs, then just have one signed and brought back for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I might even jump on the field and see if I can run to the other side.
No streaking, Jeff. Don't be that guy.
Too cold.
Don't
Well,
be
hey,
that guy. No, it's in a dome, Jeff. It's in a
let's get
dome.
at this. Let's get at
Let's
this.
get it started. All right, then. As always, let's get started with podcast's hottest segment, and that is
Did you know?
Did You Know? So, Jeff, here's something that might surprise you. For the first time in years, British Columbia is the only province in Canada where the province actually declined. So, according to new data from Statistics Canada, BC lost more than 2,400 people in the first 6 months of 2025.
Lost meaning what?
Well, I will get into that. And thank you for asking what's behind the dip, Jeff. So it's basically the other side of the population boom we've seen over the past 3 years. So thousands of temporary residents, international students, and workers came to BC during this time, but now many of their work and study permits have expired, and they're either heading home or they're headed elsewhere in Canada. So here's how the breakdown is. Between January and June, BC gained about 12,700 new immigrants and 1,600 interprovincial arrivals. So interprovincial, of course, meaning migrations from other provinces within Canada. But that was outweighed by 14,700 non-permanent residents leaving. And if that wasn't enough, our birth rate is still the lowest in the country, with just 1.02 children per woman, compared to Canada's already record low 1.25. Right. So that puts us in what Stats Canada calls ultra low fertility territory alongside countries like Japan, Italy, and South Korea.
And China.
China is part of that. Yeah, but they're fourth on that list, I believe it is. So Japan calls their situation a quiet emergency. But experts in Canada say it won't say, or experts say Canada won't hit the same wall because immigration continues to offset our low birth rate, keeping the population and economy fairly steady. But still, this shift now raises some important questions. So Premier David Eby recently called for what he described as a serious adult conversation about migration levels. He linked the rise in youth unemployment, low wages, and overburdened services to the surge in temporary foreign workers, and some experts have agreed. Opening doors too wide too fast, especially in housing-strapped provinces like BC, created a demand that outpaced supply. That, combined with sky-high prices across the province from Vancouver to Kelowna, may be driving some residents to pack up and head east to Alberta, which just happens to be Canada's second fastest growing province. And there's the other thought. Experts say BC's housing costs might even be affecting family decisions, with the average age of new mothers now 31.8 years. Up from 26.7 in the late 70s. People are now having fewer children and waiting longer to start having families.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean, Geoff, you ask? While this year's population dip is likely temporary, it's a reminder that affordability, immigration, and growth are more connected than ever. And as the experts put it, this year may be abnormal, but it's also a signal that housing, wages, and policy all play a role in who can and who wants to call BC a home. And that is the did you know. So what are your thoughts, Geoff?
Well, I actually didn't know that that our birth rate was as low as it is.
Neither did I.
Even at 1.25, like, that is like China
Yeah.
restriction kind of idea, but
Yeah.
voluntarily doing it. So
Yeah.
that is actually, I did not know that. I did know, or I had an understanding that ladies were having children later in their years versus like 26, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that was good. That was informative.
Those were the two stats that I didn't know. So that I didn't know that our 1.25, like 1.25 was the average amount of children for Canada. That was crazy. I still thought we were closer to 2. I would have guessed, like, I would have guessed 2 and then wouldn't have been surprised if somebody said 1.75, right? And then so for us in British Columbia, pardon me, to be down at 1.02, so let's just say 1, right? Mm-hmm. 1 child per family. That I thought was crazy. I did not know that. And then the other part was I knew that people were waiting later, right? That women were waiting later because of being in the workforce and all of that sort of stuff. But I didn't know it was 31 years of age. I thought that to me that's late, because I figured by then they would be established, right? So women wouldn't want to be having children at that age because they'd established themselves and had the career that they wanted. So it's those were the two statistics that I was really surprised at.
Yeah, and I think even, piggybacking off of that, I think most women, and I'm not doing any generalizations here, they do want to be foundationally strong in their careers. And them having children, that's why there's that mat leave that they can come back. I would be interested to see what the statistics say about nannies and how these children are being raised in families where you're 32 years old, your career established typically at that point, and I'd be interested to see how children are being raised. So maybe that could be your next did you know.
Yeah, I should look at that. I think that would be definitely something interesting to check out. But yeah, so that's the did you know, my friend.
Well, you know what? And that is a
What do you
great.
got for us?
Did you know? And I have been in my emails, it's been in media, and we're always hearing about OSFI these days. And remember, OSFI is the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions, which pretty much is the boss of financial banks or
The
financial
boss of the banks.
institutions, also known as banks. Um, and they came out last week and they had two um, comments or opinions on banking competition and what that's going to mean for Canadian home buyers and what they would like to see in upcoming rules and regulations. And they also had comment about the housing market risk, especially focusing on condos. So I know we don't have a large amount of time. I know we try to keep these within 45 minutes. So you know what? I'm going to let you tell me which one we want to talk about, and that's what we'll jump into.
I'm going to and talk about. I wanted to. I'm not going to talk about it. You are. I want to hear about banking competition because that's always the big one for me. I always want to hear what banks are doing to get one above each other, or introducing new banks into the marketplace and how easy that might be for other institutions to come on in. So,
Good. Okay. Well, let's jump into it. So again, OSFI, which is the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions, they came out with comments last week, is that they would like to see more banking competition and what that could actually mean for Canadian home buyers. So again, when people talk about banks, they're talking about RBC, Toronto Dominion, the Bank of Montreal, Scotiabank, CIBC, National Bank. Those are your big six banks here in Canada. And to be honest, they have pretty much shaped the banking landscape over more so than credit unions, more so than monoline lenders. Like if you take a look at the banking landscape, the big six banks really have basically shaped what that landscape looks like. And OSFI has commented that they would like to see that change. And remember, the goals of OSFI, their goals are to create stability within the banking system first, and innovation is second. So, and also to protect our banking system and avoid the kind of bank failures that we saw back in the U.S. of 2008. And we talked about it last week about capital reserves and the management of it and income producing loans and again putting up guardrails about future turbulence and protecting our banking system and being proactive really in what that looks like. So again, they came out and they pretty much said, hey, we understand that the big six banks have pretty much landscaped the banking system. We want to see more competition within the banking system because right now, again, unlike the US, unlike the United Kingdom, unlike Australia, where they have many lenders, there's a lot more competition in there, which comes down to mortgage products, which comes down to rates, which again, at the end of the day, benefits the citizens of those countries more so than the banking institutions themselves. So they have said, like, look, we understand that here in Canada there is limited competition. We would like to see more lenders in the market, similar to what the US is doing, similar to what the UK is doing, and similar to what Australia is doing. And doing that, the big six banks aren't going to be so dominant. And as a result, by introducing more competition, we're going to see better mortgage products. We're going to see rates maybe sharpen up a little bit because there's less competition. And we're going to see mortgage products that are going to be catered to those self-employed people, to those contract workers, to those new Canadians. And again, just kind of open it up and maybe not have the utilization of B lenders because again, typically when we're talking about self-employed people, low reporting income or contract workers, if they're not fitting in that banking sandbox, we are having to use subprime lenders. And when we're using subprime or B lenders or possibly private lenders, we're seeing the increase in rates. We're seeing increase in the closing costs in relation to fees and certain legals costs, depending on what the lender is. So again, OSFI is like saying, you know what? Maybe it's time that we start taking a look at this, loosen up some capital rules, and what that's going to translate into is more competition within the banking system, which as a result, it's going to be passed down to the borrowers with lower costs and sharper rates.
So, Jeff, quick question. Does that mean that they're going to allow, let's say, US banks to come into to Canada and establish themselves here?
Yeah, you know what? I know on the commercial side, we're already seeing that with Wells Fargo and
Yeah.
our US lenders. On the residential side, there's not really any clear direction if that is one of these things that they're planning on doing. I think that's a much bigger um, bucket to tackle. I'm sure there is so much kind of red tape that goes into something like that with the regulations and the regulators. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means. If that means, hey, we're going to allow U.S. financial institutions to come in Canada. We do see some of that either on the U.S. side, where we're seeing Canadian financial institutions there, like TD has a presence there. I believe Scotiabank also has a presence there. I believe RBC has a presence.
Yeah.
Pretty much all our big six banks do have a presence in our southern borders. The southern border,
Yeah.
U.S. southern border,
Yeah. Southern.
but we don't have really any kind of U.S. banking here in Canada outside on the commercial side.
And I know, no, and we don't. And typically, the reason is that we in Canada don't like having US companies come in like that is because they have more money than we do, disposable to them. And I know that, and so that's why I wanted to get an understanding about this, is because I would see a lot of pushback from the heads of TD and RBC and CIBC pushing back at having the US like Wells Fargo coming in because sorry, not we, I don't own these banks. They don't have the pockets that those banking institutions do. And they are very reluctant to that type of competition. I was kind of comparing it to when Verizon, even though it's different, I was thinking about it as being the same. Verizon wanted to come in and start and put up towers for cell phones in Canada, and Bell, Rogers, and TELUS got together and pushed back and stopped them from being able to come in with the CRTC. And the reason being was, had Verizon come in to Canada, they would have destroyed all three because of the amount of money that they have versus what our entities have.
Yeah, and you know what? That may or may not be true, but I also take a look on, and I'm not using Verizon as an example, but we even take a look at Nordstrom's. Take a look on Nordstrom's, how powerful they are in the US. They were not powerful here in Canada. You take a look at
The reason being for that, sorry, Jeff, is I will say, and it's the same reason Target wasn't successful, is just not understanding the model here from retail, not understanding the model here and just distribution. That was the reason why those.
But that could also be very similar on the banking side, right?
Sure.
That could also be very similar on the communication side. We really don't think we really know until they actually put foot on the ground. Because if you were to ask Nordstrom's, hey, do you understand the retail space? They probably would tell you 100% we understand the retail space. They just didn't understand the Canadian retail space, right?
Right. Which is always a thing.
Yeah, and the same thing with Target. So I'm not saying that this is the same thing with telecommunications, or this is going to be the same thing with on the banking side. There's a lot of U.S. companies that have infiltrated industries here in Canada and crank it, right? So, so I always just use those two examples or those examples because there are parts of our industry where we feel that the US is going to come in, they're going to, kick ass. And when they get here, it's just like, oh, this is a little bit different than what I thought. When it comes to the banking side of things, a great question, Alistair. An answer that I don't have necessarily at this point, but I'm sure this is something that is rolling through OSFI's, wheelhouse. But again, I still don't really see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, yeah. I just say of course I'm pro competition, right? I believe that the more competition that we have, the better it is for all of us. So
Well, and let's talk about like what does that competition mean on the banking side? And again, like Canadian financial institutions, be it credit unions, be it banks, be it monoline lenders, there already is a lot of entities here within the space. But again, what's going to happen is that if there's more competition in there, and just as you said it, the more competition there is, we're going to see lenders have sharper mortgage rates. And again, keep in mind, these lenders are also regulated by OSFI, by their capital rules. So what OSFI is coming in to say, hey, we might revisit our capital rules. We might take a look as far as softening them, and maybe that's not the right word, but softening them, which therefore is going to allow our current lenders here in this space to offer more mortgage products, going to offer sharper rates with what that looks like. We take a look, and again, separate industry, but I'm just going to use it as a comparison. We take a look at gas wars, right? We take a look at as soon as one Chevron station lowers the price, Petro-Canada is lowering the price, Super Save is lowering the price. And all of a sudden, we're going from $1.70 a liter to 35 cents a liter. I wish, but we're starting to see wars like that, and that is because of the competition, right? And I'm not saying that rates are going to be crazy, reductions to what they are. But the more competition you have, even if it's 25 basis points and you're looking at a rate that's a 4.19 and now it's a 3.89, again, that's a significant difference to borrowers. And again, if capital rules, if it translates that capital rules become softening, and that allows our existing lenders to be a little bit more aggressive in rates, be a little bit more aggressive in mortgage products, be a little bit more aggressive in those ones that are hard to finance, with it being self-employed people, contract people, film industry people, like people that have irregular income. That is going to benefit us as Canadians, because again, if we can do it on the A side, what that means versus doing it on the B side or the private side, that just translates in bigger savings and overall cost of credit to benefit the borrower. Because if they can remain on that A side, and again, when I say the A side, banks, credit unions, monoline lenders. When I say the B side, those are those subprime lenders, and then the private side, right? But if we can keep things on the A side, because some rules can basically be revisited and not so strict and stringent as far as what is regulated by OSFI, this could benefit us as Canadians.
And
that's,
I like it.
Yeah, so that in a nutshell was really their comments, is that, look, we understand that our banking landscape has been dictated by the big six banks. We see other countries such as the US, the UK, and Australia have other entities which provide competition within that space. This is something that we would like to see here on the Canadian side, because in doing so, the people that are going to benefit are going to be the borrower, right?
Yep.
And if we can revisit some of our rules and maybe perhaps not have them so black and white, maybe have them expand their ideology or their regulations and the reasoning behind it, this may benefit self-employed people. This may benefit contract workers. this may benefit the gig worker, right?
Yeah.
And as a result, again, if we can put you onto with a bank, a credit union, or a monoline lender versus a subprime lender or a private lender, who does that benefit? That benefits you, the borrower.
Of course, which is at the end of the day the most important thing, because
Yeah,
again, we the people drive the economy, and so when you make it easier, for us to do things,
right.
and cheaper, right? It allows that economy to continue to churn
Well,
quicker and better.
and let's be honest, like when you have competition, what happens? What do you think happens to your service levels?
Oh, it raises, or else you die. That's the
Exactly.
biggest thing, right? You get better service with more
Right.
competition,
So,
right? You can't be complacent.
and not to bag on the big six banks, but also, when's the last time that you contacted, say, a big six bank? How quickly do they get back to you?
No, I know they're terrible.
Right?
Yeah,
So the thing is that this competition is going to be better for rates. It's going to be better for mortgage products. It's going to be better for service levels. This is a good thing, right?
yeah.
And like I said, it's not that we need to bring in more lenders. We have a lot of lenders here in Canada. But again, if we can revisit some of the policy and how they make their decisions and their underwriting, and that becomes a little bit more beneficial for um, borrowers. Again, we benefit, right? The borrower
That's true.
benefits. It's not that the
Yeah.
bank is going to be benefit. I always laugh when banks are doing these cuts and pushing people to use the automatic tellers, right? Just those centers.
Yeah.
And then we see these quarterly, and the reason why we're doing it is because we need to cut costs because our profits are low. And then the quarterly profits come out, and they're profiting hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Quarterly. And then I'm just thinking, well, I don't know. This is one thing that I don't understand that somebody above my pay grade needs to explain to me.
Now, I don't want to take it sideways because I know we're going to wrap this up right away, but I do have one quick question when it comes to the competition, what OSFI is looking to do. Um, how are they going to ensure stuff like, so remember HSBC
Yeah.
and what happened with them, right? How are they going to ensure that like that stuff doesn't?
So remind me what happened with them because
Didn't
I may remember, but our
HSBC
listeners may not.
didn't HSBC have some wonky stuff that they were doing that forced them to close down? Well, Royal Bank ended up buying up their entities and stuff like that. But I thought it was some wonky business practices that forced HSBC. Hold on, I'm actually trying to figure out what happened.
I don't know, and I can't comment on that, but I do know, like, say, for example, there are certain banks that have offered these innovative loan products like the cashback mortgage. Remember those?
Yes. Yeah.
If you do this mortgage and it's this amount and you're doing these terms, we're going to give you $25,000 cash back. And what has really gone sideways with those, and they still do exist, by the way, is that they understand that, hey, if we're going to give you a cash back and then you're going to break that mortgage, which you will do, now we're going to get the penalty and we're also going to request a portion of that cash that we've given you to do the mortgage, right? So that was one of the things that has come to light, where it's like, hey, that's a little bit offside. We need to put some guidelines behind that. But that was nothing to do with RBC purchasing HSBC. I think that was more that HSBC wanted to focus their attention internationally,
Oh, that could have been.
and pull their interests outside of Canada and focus their interest in international grounds. And again, I think RBC said, "Yeah, do what you got to do. We'll buy up your securities here, and away you go." I don't think it was probably that simple, but I don't think it was that HSBC was doing anything offside from what
Okay. No, it could have been. I thought that there was a little bit of controversy around that was going on within HSBC before the acquisition. I thought that might have played a little bit of a part. I don't know for sure. That's why I asked.
I
That's
think
what I
if
was
you peel
asking.
back the onion peel on any lender, they probably have a lot of controversy.
A lot of wonky business practices going on for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
for
we won't
sure.
say wonky because again, they're regulated.
True.
But again, like banks do wonky stuff, and this is the reason why we have OSFI, right, and regulators.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could go into those banking stories, but you know what? We don't want to throw too many of these lenders under their poor past behavior.
Exactly. Well, man, that's awesome. Am I cut, or do you got more, or is that it?
Well, you know, like I said, we could go deeper into this and talk about, you know, OSFI's opinion on housing market risk and condos and what that looks like. That would be another 15, 20 minutes, but I think we should end it there. And that's something we can circle back to with our next.
We'll do that one next week. Let's do that one next week. Amazing, because you got to go get some Blue Jays gear, man. You got to be fitted, baby. You got to be fitted from head to toe, baby.
Got to buy a hat.
Right. Well, that's it then, man.
I'm gonna share this one once we get offline, as far as a T-shirt that I saw about the Blue Jays.
You can share it online. Why no, share it with us. Share it with everybody, Geoff. Come on, don't hold back.
I saw these two T-shirts. It says, "I love the BJs."
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Depending on where your mind goes with that.
Sure, I hear Blue Jays.
And I go with Blue Jays, but I can tell you, I think my partner, if I was to say I love the BJs, she's thinking something different.
Right. So yeah, and she might slap you there.
And I'm not even gonna say her name here. We'll force you to revisit older pods where we have disclosed who my partner is.
Who she is. She's an amazing woman, just so everybody knows, an amazing woman. And really, it's because she puts up with Geoff.
True. Very true.
Right? She didn't leave him with the gypsies back in Italy. That shows you how much she loves him.
Yeah, she became a gypsy.
Oh, there you go. See? Amazing. All right, people. Well, thank you so much, as always, for listening to this episode number 73. We continue to ask you to love, like us, and share us. Tell everybody you know about us. Be back with us for episode number 74. Again, as always, we are doubling down to make sure you get as much info, as much relevant info and informative info as you can. Whew. Have an amazing weekend, all ya, and we'll see you back next week. In the meantime, stay empowered, stay informed, and most importantly, Geoff,
stay tuned.
That's right, baby. Stay tuned. Peace out.